Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you enjoy calm, long-form storytelling that works perfectly with text-to-speech, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and, if you want to help us keep producing deep dives like this, tap the join button below. Today we're exploring a story that many of you have been messaging me about for weeks, the quiet, carefully guarded chapter in the lives of Yağmur Yüksel and Barış Baktas. Fans of Kentsesecleri have followed Dylan and Baron with unwavering devotion. Now, a swirl of hints and hushed reports suggests that life may have stepped out from behind the script and written a scene of its own. To understand how we got here, we need to start with something simple: rhythm. On set, rhythm is everything: how long a pause lasts, when a glance lands, which half-smile holds a line together. Over months of filming, viewers noticed that the rhythm between Yağmur and Barış felt unusually lived in, even in the smallest exchanges. That observation alone doesn't mean anything outside the frame. Great actors can manufacture closeness. But as the show's popularity grew, online communities began cataloging little coincidences that didn't involve scripts at all: two separate posts sharing the same lyric, late-night rap photos uploaded within the same minute, a quiet compliment in an interview that never used a name but matched one person's work habits almost perfectly. You could dismiss any single moment as nothing. Together, they sounded like a pattern slowly tuning itself. Then came the weekend that changed the tone of the conversation. It didn't deliver an official statement. It didn't give us a glossy magazine cover. Instead, it gave us a small set of images that looked nothing like promotion. No lighting rigs, no stylists, no careful product placement. Just a warm, amber room, a low table with white flowers, a bowl of sugared almonds, and a handful of people who knew to keep their voices low. In one photo, Yağmur is caught mid-laugh, unposed and completely unguarded. In another, Barış seems to be holding something that catches the light in a very particular way. In the third image, a simple ring appears, elegant, restrained, and the kind of detail that doesn't need a caption to carry meaning. No one wrote an explanation. No one added a winking hashtag. The images existed on their own for only a brief stretch of time before being reposted, interpreted, and spun into threads. The rumor mill did what it always does: guessing dates, compiling guest lists, and assigning motives. But underneath all that noise sat a quieter possibility, that two colleagues who had protected their privacy for months had chosen intimacy over spectacle, even at a moment when spectacle would have been easy. People who claimed to have been there described something that felt intentionally small. Barış arrived early and, according to one account, helped adjust the flowers on the table. A couple of close friends filtered in as the sun went down. A relative of Yağmur brought a velvet tray that made sense only later. There are versions of the story where Barış stood, not for a camera, but for a question, in a voice soft enough that only the room could hear it, a question that drew a line between two kinds of love, the one written for characters and the one that belongs only to the people playing them. No grand speeches. No dramatics. Just a promise made small on purpose. If you're waiting for official confirmation, you may be waiting a while. The responses that followed stayed perfectly in character for both. Yağmur wrote a single sentence about joy being bigger than a room. Barış thanked people for their kindness. Neither word confirmed anything, neither word denied anything. But tone can be a language of its own, and the tone suggested the shape of a decision, to treat something precious as if it were fragile, because that's how precious things begin. What happens to a working set when private life whispers become louder than public storylines? In this case, the answer appears to be professionalism. The team reportedly gave a small cushion in the schedule, not as a break, but as a sign of respect. Scenes were filmed, cues were hit, timing remained tight. If you look closely at the broadcast, you probably won't notice anything unusual. That is the point. A production that protects its actors' humanity without turning it into content is a production that understands longevity. Of course, not everyone reads restraint the same way. Some fans celebrated immediately, declaring that such chemistry is impossible to fake and that the screen had finally told the truth about real life. Others warned about the well-known dangers of blending headlines and scripts. In between stood a wide middle ground, supporters who care about both the show and the people who make it. Their message was simple: let them choose the pace. If there is a celebration, let it grow roots before the world steps on them. It's also worth talking about what this story is not. It is not a marketing tactic designed to push ratings. It is not a neatly timed stunt. It is not an obligation owed to the internet. Real commitments, when they exist, tend to be the opposite of all that, understated, a little awkward, marked by small imperfections that make them feel more honest than anything rehearsed. One guest remembers an elder offering a blessing that made everyone cry and then laugh, because a line went wrong and someone had to repeat it. Moments like that never go viral, and yet they are the moments people remember years later. You've asked whether this changes consequently. Short answer: it shouldn't. Yağmur and Barış have been consistent about keeping work as work. If anything, balance in private life often makes an actor braver on screen. When a personal foundation feels steady, you can afford to risk more in a role: longer silences that carry meaning, choices that require vulnerability, endings that resist neatness. That's good news for the audience. It means the performances we care about can deepen without being devoured by speculation. Another recurring question: will brands or publicists try to capitalize on this moment? Probably. That is how the industry works. But here's the advantage of two people who have been careful from the start: they can keep saying no. They can choose the projects that honor their craft rather than feed a narrative. They can avoid joint campaigns that turn a relationship into a billboard. In an age when attention is engineered, choosing not to perform intimacy might be the most radical choice of all. If we zoom out, there is a bigger lesson here about how to watch television, and how to watch the people who make it. Ship your favorite characters. Treasure your favorite scenes. Talk about the choices that make a performance sing. Just be careful not to mistake a character's promise for an actor's obligation. Dylan and Baron owe their story to the script. Yağmur and Barış owe their lives to themselves. So what should we look for in the weeks ahead? 3 things. First, quiet planning, not flashy announcements, but the practical steps that follow any major decision: conversations with families, moments of coordination between two demanding schedules, and the gentle negotiations that make two lives fit together. Second, creative risk-taking. If you suddenly notice a bolder scene choice, a more daring arc, or a willingness to play against type, that often means emotional energy is being used as fuel rather than drained by noise. Third, the behavior of the fan community. Nothing shapes a couple's public posture more than whether the crowd gathers to celebrate or to pry. Support invites visibility, intrusion invites retreat. For those still parsing the leaked images, a word of caution. A single still frame can lie. A single sentence can mislead. What you can trust, more than any crop or caption, is consistency over time. Yağmur has consistently avoided turning private moments into content. Barış has consistently kept his voice measured, even under pressure. If that consistency continues, you'll have your answer about priorities, whether or not you ever get a headline to screenshot. Before we wrap up, a thought for the romantics and the skeptics alike. Some relationships are fireworks. They announce themselves with volume and color, demanding to be seen from miles away. Others are candles. They begin with a small, steady flame protected by hands, growing brighter as the room grows darker. If the story you're hoping for belongs to the second category, you might not get the spectacle you imagined. You may get something better, a promise that doesn't need an audience to feel true. Thank you for staying with me through this careful, measured look at a story that invites easy assumptions. If you appreciated the nuance, please like the video, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next long-form deep dive. In the comments, tell me how you prefer love stories to unfold, loud and public or quiet and resilient. Would you want Yağmur Yüksel and Barış Baktas to take on a new project together, or would you rather see them stretch in very different roles so we can appreciate their range side by side? Keep it respectful, keep it thoughtful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Take care, and goodbye.